Hey boys, girls, and squirrels, my name is Modstab. Welcome back to Satisfactory. That's right. Alright, so before we get started, in the last episode we showed you guys a giant item bust that Sorry, I bumped my soda pop. I don't need to spill another one. In last episode I showed you guys the giant bust that we had been working on for items. And well, as much as I like that, I realized a couple flaws with that design, and so we have now stumbled onto a new design. However, before I show you guys the design, I do want to say we are en route to go ahead and begin the steel production, and in order to do so, we need to combine this iron with that beautiful coal, and then we have what we need. And so I'm going to show you guys what my thought process is kind of around this. Let's throw this here. We'll throw this here. All right. And we'll show you what my idea and my thought process is for this portion, and then we'll go ahead and show you guys what we have for the rest of the game taken care of. Let's figure this out. So for production, we need foundries, and I did do a little bit of math and found out that we can do 3 foundries right now per individual belt. Now this is something we can, I'm sure, expand upon in the future, but for now, this is how we're going to do it, y'all. This is how we are going to do it. We're going to do 1. We're going to do 2. And we're going to do, that's right, number 3. All right, so we're actually at a stage now where our raw materials need to be combined into this guy here. Steel ingots. Which means we'll have to set it up in such a way where we can have both of these work. Now, I think I found, in my opinion, one of the best ways to do it, and we're actually going to have to move these a little further back. All right, I can live with that. So what I want to do is get this set up here, right? And this will make sense in a minute, but for now... Oh, is that going to push it too far forward, I think? No, that'll be fine. That'll be absolutely fine. Now let's get it here, and I want to square it up with this one. There we go. All right. Now the reason I did this is because, as you guys can tell, we're not actually worried about expanding things with this type of build. And what I mean by that is if we get a faster belt or we get more belts, we literally just throw more down this line, basically indefinitely. And so moving my factory and changing how it was rearranged made it so that I don't have to worry about running out of space, unlike the other factory we had, where we were going to run out of a lot of space very quickly. Why did I delete those? I didn't even do my glorious task. All right, so what I wanted to do here is what I found the best option to do things with. Let's get a splitter. Yeah, splitter's what we're talking about. All right, and we want to make sure it's lined up with this as close as it possibly can be and as far back as it can be. Now, the reason we are doing this is because we need to have belts. All right, get in there. That can overlap each other. All right, perfect. So now I should be able to get rid of this. And this is why this is important. I'm going to show you guys real quick. So we can get a splitter here, right? We wanted to start on this side, but we want to make sure it's lined up here. We're going to bring this guy back here. Bring this one back so that it is right. Come on, buddy. There. We'll bring this one back once again so that it is lined up with that. Now, I may have messed up how it comes in here, but this is the magic, okay? So we're going to connect this guy here. Now, normally if you had these conveyors on the same level, you'd run into issues where these belts would overlap and not work. However, raising it up by the smallest amount you can raise it up by, these guys are able to function. Now, I shouldn't be able to... we'll do it like this. There we go. That's how I'll fix that problem. All right, so now we have those in here, and we can take this, and we can go right over top. Oh, it's so good. While I was trying to figure out how to maximize everything, that one's a little crooked, but I digress. When I was figuring out how to maximize everything so that we could get as much space as well as production as possible, I found this to be one of the best options, at least for me. Now, this is a little sloppy, but that's mostly my fault because I didn't decide to line these up with this. I decided to try to fit it in a much smaller space than I normally would. But that's okay. It kind of gets the point across. Now, what we have to do here is make sure that all this is good to go. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4. We'll go 5 and raise it up 1 just to kind of have that extra space. Okay, we got 1, 2, 3, 4. And we'll raise it up 2. And we'll kind of be doing this, mirroring this on the other side as well. So we go 1, 2, 3, 4, and we go up 3. And the reason you do this is, as far to my knowledge, the closest I've found is like 4 little ticks. 4 little ticks away is as close as they can be and still be able to go up 1 level on those, what are they called? What are those called? On the conveyor pole. So I guess that makes sense that they would be called something to do with a conveyor. All right. All right. And that lets us maximize space as much as we possibly can. So we're going to go ahead and do that. And we're going to just mirror the same thing on this side. Yeah, you're lined up. Okay. Perfect. Backing off 1. Right? Yeah. And we'll put this one a little further just to have it there. Let's see. We'll get this guy here. Perfect. Round 3. And round 4. Awesome. Alright, I know every time I play this game, I end up rearranging how I have everything set up. So I do apologize for taking you guys on random adventures all over into the middle of nowhere land. But it's important. It's important that we do the things. Alright. And so doing it like that allows us to get it super, super neat. And for now, we're going to be a little sloppy with this, and we're not going to rearrange it because I just want to get the point across to you guys, and I can always fine-tune and tweak things off camera because it takes so much time to progress in this game. It is absolutely unbelievable. But now we should have all of these guys, Okay, I was like, where's my coal? Dang it. We should have all the raw materials going through here and splitting at each of these junctures. Now, before I add the power poles to get these ready, I do want to add the mergers. All right, and we want to make sure that these things are... Why you no line up? Let me know what? I don't know why it's not lining up, but we're going to give that a shot. Yeah, that's perfect. All right, we just want to make sure that is lined up here. Okay, baby. There we go. Getting up on that wall. That's what I'm talking about. Okay. Yeah, because if we go over 1... Yeah, perfect. So we should be good here. And now we will take these guys. And all of the beautiful steel that these make will come through these mergers. And out the end here. And I do have to figure out how I want this to work. Now, we do have a pretty decent amount of space here. So I might be able to try to do all the tier 1 crafting of steel right on this little section right here. And I think we might try to do that for you guys. But now that we have that taken care of, we can go ahead and put a power pole. And I actually do 1 power pole per, like, crafting station. That's probably too close. Because I just want it to be as power efficient as possible. Like, I don't want to have to worry about anything. I really kind of messed up how I want to do that, don't I? Alright, we'll just take these down. And right now I'm only using the tier 1 power dibbles because, well, that's just how it is. Perfect. But that should provide power to these guys. As soon as I craft steel ingots, these guys should be up and running. Alright. They are up and running, I think. And now what we need to do is there's a couple things that need to happen. So for steel, we have a couple things. And I'll show you guys what we have here by putting down a production bench. So for steel, we can do 2 different things via just the iron ingots. So we can do steel beams, and then we can do steel pipes. Outside of that, we actually have to use these industrial beams for a pretty decent amount. However, we'll worry about that in a later episode. As for now, I am only concerned with doing a tier 1 construction for steel. So we need to get steel beams and we need to get steel pipes going. Now, in order to do that, obviously, we have to have a constructor, which apparently I don't have enough resources for. Either way, I'm going to go ahead and fill this top layer up now that we have this section taken care of. And the nice thing about, like I said, the nice thing about this build is you can take this down to the ends of the earth. And all you have to do is just change where it ends in order to get as much material as possible. But that's going to do it for the foundry section, so the base level of steel production. Now we're going to go up top. I'm going to fill this gap in. We're going to get some more materials, and then we will see you guys once we are ready to begin the construction phase. Alrighty, so we have this top portion taken care of, and I'll show you guys how I kind of get everything up and moved around in this factory. I've been thinking really vertically, as you could tell, with this factory, and we will be taking a tour at the end. So we'll worry about that in the future. But what I do know is, as of right now, we are able to do 2 of each. So we can have 2 constructors for the beams and 2 constructors for the pipes. Now I got to figure out the best way to do this, since we're going to be coming up this side right here. What I might actually try to do is, let's see. What I might actually try to do is expand this by 1, because I don't think, yeah, I'm not going to have enough if I do it that way. So what we're going to do is we're going to expand it by 1 more. And then we're going to go ahead and just mirror this and give ourselves roughly, yeah. That should do exactly what we need to. So we'll have 2 here and 2 on the other side. And we should be able to put splitters right down the middle of this. And then we should also have enough to take couple mergers. We're actually going to check space real quick. And we want the merger to send it this way. We will have plenty of space in regards to this. Now I have to make sure it's lined up here, obviously. But we will have plenty of space to take this over wherever we need to. And we'll do the same thing on the other side after I add a couple of these foundations. Alright, perfect. Okay, and we should be able to take the mergers and do the same exact thing on this side. Perfect. Not perfect. We are out of iron. Bummer. Alright, so I've returned, and I do have my merger ready to go. Wow, that was actually pretty straightforward. So just like everything else, we're taking all of this stuff and we are bringing it together. Just like a beautiful, beautiful marriage of electronic parts. It's basically my life, is a marriage of electronic parts. Let's see here. So what we need this one to do is we need this one to do the beams. Yeah. All right, how many do we produce? We do 10 of those per minute. That's not very much. But we do consume 30 per minute, and we need... These guys do 15 per minute. So these guys are a 1-to-1 ratio, just like the iron rods. And these guys are a 2-to-1 ratio, just like the iron plates. So I think we're gonna start seeing a lot of replication of that specific number as we progress through this. But before we get too carried away, we do need to make sure we have a splitter here between these constructors, and we're just gonna go straight down the middle. With the steel being the way it is, I think this will probably be the most efficient way we can do it, is just take one train straight down the middle. And we can always change it in the future, but for now, I really just want to get things started. Now, what I do down here is we have a merger here, so that can only go one way. In order to make it so we can split this off in multiple different directions, what I do is I take this guy here, and we may actually end up going ahead and expounding one over this way, just for this reason here. And I'm going to add walls there just so we don't do anything stupid like fall off, because, you know, that's me. I'm bound to let that happen. And so what we do is, to split everything off, we go ahead and we take a conveyor lifter, we bring that guy up, and then we pop it over here. And then you can go ahead and take this guy. And so what happens is it splits everything straight down the middle. But for now, we're just going to use absolutely all of it. And so what we do is we just don't put a other end off of this, and it'll take absolutely everything up top. And we got to go back up there. But while we're doing that, let's see here. While we're doing that, let's go ahead and let you guys know that this is a very rambly episode. I seem like I'm in an urgent rush, and there's a couple really good reasons for that. One, I just need to pre-record a few episodes of multiple different recordings, so things might be a little hectic. On top of that, I am on a time crunch today as well. I need to go get a car. My car is dead, dying, and over, and so now we have to go to a dealership and look at a new car, and I don't have much time before I do that, but I really, really, really wanted to get this video taken care of. So let's go ahead and get this over here. So if anything seems rushed or weird, that is 100% why. And I do apologize a little bit for it. Not too much. All right. So we're going to take these guys all the way over. And it should split them right down the middle. Perfect. Perfect, perfect, perfect. Now what we're going to do is we're going to get a power pole in here. I figured we'd be a little too tight on this side. So what we'll do is we'll do them on the interior this time instead of the exterior like we did last time. All right, let's throw this guy in here. Throw that one over there. And now what we need to do is take the power pole down this way so that we can have one dedicated specifically to the steel. All right. And I like to put a little extra as far as amounts of power poles laying around, because while you're using tier 1 power poles, you can never be too safe or sorry. We will eventually be upgrading those so we can just make things look just a smidge neater. Yeah, let's go ahead and just link these straight across. That'll... No. That'll be dumb. That'll be dumb. That defeats the purpose. Okay. So big brain boy mathed real hard just now, and we made things happen. All right, so we bring that guy. He has power. You have power. Boom. And this one should have power now. Yes. And you should have power now as well. And so what should be happening is we should see multiple different things come out. Perfect. And so what we're going to do here is just in the meantime, while we're waiting for things to kind of stockpile up, we're going to go ahead and take a couple storage containers. Now this is about as temporary as you can get, strictly just to have something here so we can keep making these instead of stopping. So we're going to run that into here and this into this one. Oops. Perfect. So now this guy should take all of... Yeah, we got the steel beams going here. We got the steel pipes going this way. And we'll change that as soon as we progress. What are we looking at here for time? Oh, good lord. This is going to be a super short video. However, before we do anything too crazy, that is going to be it for the steel production, at least for now. Now, the plan is in the future to go ahead and take these and split them out so one goes into a storage container and then one goes into another machine and a constructor, where are we at? A assembler, excuse me, for now, because then we can craft other things like the stator and stuff like that. But now that we have everything pretty much automated, I am curious. What do you take? You take steel pipes and wire. That's actually not that bad of a material. The complex thing is going to be whistling everything around, so it makes sense. All right. So now that I have that portion taken care of, I do want to walk you guys through what we have going on. That way you guys can be up to date on all the crazy shenanigans that I got myself into. So we're going to start with the raw materials, and you're going to notice a theme in this factory that we're going to have raw materials on the bottom, tier 1 materials on that second floor, tier 2 materials where we have to combine multiple materials into the third floor, and then we're going to keep trying to build up and up and up until everything makes sense. Now, what we did was we went ahead and took all the raw materials that we had just running up into the sky in the last factory. We made them a lot neater by bringing them all on these little, I guess, for lack of a better term, like, what are they called? I guess I can figure out the name. On those stackable poles, conveyor poles. Wow, okay, so they're all named conveyor poles. These are just stackable. All right, so on the conveyor poles, we took these guys in. We have a bunch of windows for iron, 9 to be precise. We have 6 windows for copper, if we ever do find another node. And then we have 3 windows, I think, for, yeah, limestone. Because this isn't too crazy, we're going to keep 1 for crafting and a storage, and then 1 we're going to use to do a lot of the steel production and stuff like that. But we're going to start with the limestone here, because we're having those crafted into concrete. So what we did is, just like everything else, we went ahead, and this one's about as tight as you can get, but we took 2 splitters straight down the line here. They are not linked together via this venue right here. They are just straight here. Now, the reason we did this is because I wanted to maximize every single miner. In this case, you can do 3, just like the steel that we saw over there, per miner, you can do 3 of these crafters for concrete. And then the only way that's going to change is if we get a faster miner and then faster belts. And all we have to do is add the equivalent number of miners and belts out this way until we actually get it perfected, until there's literally no space or there's no more ore to be found in the map. And so this allows us to continually expand indefinitely until we have no issues. And so I think that's really cool, and that's one reason I wanted to move my factory. Now if we go over here, I wanted to leave 3 wide section, mostly for vehicles or anything else that we might do. I haven't crafted a vehicle at all in this series for you guys, but maybe we'll get to it. Who knows? I don't think we need them. I don't care about them. Anyways, so we did this very similar thing with the copper. Now the catch with the copper is I wanted placeholders just like we had with the limestone, but we only have a belt big enough and a miner big enough to do 4 of these guys as far as foundries are concerned. So it didn't make sense to try to double up and split the belts and things like that. When we do get another piece of, or another copper vein that we can kind of utilize, then we'll go ahead and just put the splitters here and then run it just like we did the limestone over that way. Now, outside of that, the iron is where things got a little crazy because I thought I mathed out the spacing correctly, but I did not, even in the slightest. So we have a total of 5 belts. We're using 4 for iron production for items and materials. So we have the first belt sending up iron ore here, and we'll show you where that all leads to in just a minute. And we have the second and third belts all leading up as well. This one we went ahead and squared absolutely everything up with the windows to make it look super nice. So these are really tight as well, just like the limestone ones. So all the raw materials are being fed into there. Now, as you guys can probably see or notice right out of the corner of your eye, we had some issues here. It just looks like a disaster. Long story short, in order to get full productivity out of these guys so they can stay at 100% functionality, we had to find a creative way to, well, make everything work. Now, fortunately in this game, it lets you clip items very specifically. Anything that is considered a conveyor can clip most items that aren't production-based items like foundries or power poles or anything like that. But in order to make sure there was enough space without having to redo this whole tier 1 floor, what I did was I dropped everything down and I put these mergers down here, and I just have them going straight down the way so it all makes sense. Now, after everything is said and done, I actually really like what happened here because it has that, when you're in like a nuclear power plant and stuff like that, they tend to use like water pools to help cool the temperature of everything down so it doesn't run too hot. And it just kind of creates this cool little pathway. Same thing with this. There is no issue if we expand into the next universe as far as speed and production per belt, as all we have to do is replicate this design, which we found out already works. We just may have to add like a splitter here and rearrange how we have things going up to the top is all. And then same thing in the middle, really tight for the raw materials. And then over here, we got our last belt making iron ore and sending it up. And then we just did the foundry section, so you guys are fully aware of how that works. But now we're going to go ahead and go up and show you guys the tier 1 production area. So we have obviously the raw materials down here, and I'm pretty proud of this. I am a little nervous that I didn't allot for the right amount of space with that iron production. So it does make me a little sad. You know what? Before we go upstairs, this is exactly why I picked this area. I'm just going to be quiet for a couple seconds, and I want you guys to just listen to the waterfall. It's just so peaceful, you know, when you're using every single ounce of your brain power to make sure you make everything 100% efficient. You tend to like to enjoy the relaxing things. Alrighty, so this gets a little chaotic, but it only looks chaotic. Like I said, I was thinking vertically with a lot of this, so I wanted to keep that as a signature when we were continuing building things. So we already showed you the steel production and the beam production, so I'm not going to walk you through that. And we have this really big open area that I haven't utilized, mostly because for now I'm just using it for power poles. But I was actually thinking in the future of splitting everything off we have here and have a huge wall of items that circle back around. And I'll show you how we do that without utilizing floor space in a minute. But it'll let me bring everything back here so I can kind of see what we have fully available and what we need to craft more of. Without further ado, we're going to start over here with the crazy amount of iron production. So what we do is we have one of these belts right here from the iron. We have that coming out this way, and we're having it do iron plates. And then we actually have, let's go up here. And we're going to go ahead and go up one, as we have a second belt doing iron plates as well. And we have it coming up over here just so we can utilize as little space as possible and think top to bottom. Then we have a second tier of things crafting plates as well. Now the reason we have two things crafting plates and pretty much nothing else crafting duplicates is because we use 30 of these per minute, but we only craft 15. Now iron plates are used in a lot of recipes, so I wanted to make sure we were carrying out as many of those as possible. Now outside of that, we do have a second set of belts over here for iron, and that is going to be over here crafting screws, and you get 90 screws per minute on these guys. They're not fully efficient because I think we're overutilizing these just a smidge. We're not pushing these out fast enough, so we're using the correct amount of iron ingots, but we are not pushing out the screws fast enough in order to be at 100% efficiency. And so we're just waiting for things to continue to expand and continue to develop for us to be able to do this properly. But as it stands right now, we do have 100% efficiency with the iron ingots. We just need to push the screws out a little faster, and those are going to be maximizing production as well. And then we have one more iron belt. As you guys can see over here, we had it come up just like everything else, and we are having it craft our beautiful iron rods. And we have, that is going to be it for the iron production. And just like everything else, we can continue expanding it in that direction indefinitely. And that's kind of what I wanted to go with, was something that we can just keep expanding forever. Now the copper, there's not a lot that we're using copper for right now. And so what I have going on is we have two of these, which are almost at 100% efficiency. We just don't move these quite fast enough. But we do have the right amount of crafters for the amount of ore we use. So I have one just going into a resource pool here, and I have that with everything, just one resource pool with everything, including the concrete. And what we have going on is we have one resource pool crafting into cable so we can continue to expand our factory. And then one is set up so that if we ever need to combine cable with anything else, we will have the resources we need to, and just all we'll have to do is move it on out. And that's actually going to do it for the tier 1 crafting. And so we're going to outline one real quick thing before we go up, because I think this is something that is really cool. And I just thought about today before we started recording, and it works amazingly. So rather than trying to make all these little guys, you know, run around on the floor, there's a lot of unutilized space right up next to the ceiling. And so in order to do that, what I did was I took one of these lifts, and I had it come down, and what I did was I did these stackable conveyor poles and stacked them so that they were up right up against the ceiling. And what that means is we're able to fully utilize the ceiling here in order to make things travel and have as much space for the crafters as possible. Now I'm going to outline where everything comes from and where everything goes to with that in just a minute. But we're going to start over here on the back side, because this is the first set of productions that I made, and that is going to be the reinforced plates. Now we do have the alternate recipe, so we can craft a little bit more than the standard. However, what we have going on is one iron plate is being split off up into here, and then we're having that go through these splitters as well, and it is plenty fast enough for us to go ahead and get full utilization out of these guys when it comes to the iron plates. We're actually really close to 100% efficiency here. The screws are the only thing holding us back there. And now this is actually where I had to figure out how to stack these in such a way where the conveyor belts didn't run into each other. And that's where we used that small platform idea and concept to kind of get everything rolling. We also have screws coming up from here, as we had a bunch of screws being crafted. And we have, they work ever so faster than a single belt can carry. However, it gives you the gist. It gets you almost what you need perfectly. So you're underperforming just a smidge on that category. However, in order to make this happen, we did need to use 2 sets of the mergers that we have down here for the screws. So we had to take those mergers up and then split them between 2 of these devices to make the efficiency as much as possible. And then we went ahead, and the next area we started crafting was actually, I believe, rotors, which is what these guys are, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, so you have rotors, so we need the poles, and we need the screws. Now we had to use another set of screws, so we're pretty much at max capacity for our yield in screws until we get faster crafters, faster belts, and whatnot. So we're pretty much capped out there. However, this is one of the things I'm most proud of right here. So we had, in order to make sure everything could work properly and we could still get a backlog of inventory on the rods, we took a lift up, put a splitter up here, we took a lift down, and we had it go into another splitter so that we could continue the runway of the rods and then have a backlog right there. But also, I took this guy down, and this is the belt you guys saw running amongst the ceiling here. And so we're going to show you why that's so important here in just a second. So we took those rods over here because we needed to craft the modular frames. Now, in order to do that, we need reinforced plates, and we also needed rods. And I wanted to make these resources travel as far as possible without taking up any floor space, because it's getting a little chaotic. And so in order to do that, I made everything run along the floor. We used these lifts, and we brought everything back up. And so what we're going to do is over here, when we get to the concrete and the iron piping and things like that, then we need to combine everything, or is it beams? It's beams. In order to combine that, we're going to do the same thing and run everything along the ceiling and then start those constructors. Now, I'm going to bring you guys along on that journey because I think it's really cool little technique to kind of keep everything off the floor as much as possible. But that's going to do it for today's episode. Now, I know we didn't progress super far, or at least as far as we have in the past with this series. But there are things that I need to do and get done before I go look at cars and see if we can't find something to keep my job. That's basically what it comes down to. Welcome to adulthood, Law. But yeah, it was fun to kind of get in here and really work on trying to make things as efficient as possible. That's not going to be as nearly as good of a view as I thought, but we might be able to get up on the top of this. So while we're running up here, we're going to go ahead and do the outro. Thank you guys so much for joining me in today's episode of Satisfactory. I hope that you enjoyed it. And if you have any tricks or tips on how to lay out a factory better than what I have done here, feel free to let me know because I'm willing to put in the time and rearrange that. However, I think this is a pretty efficient way to get things done. Now, as soon as we get a little bit further, we do have another a coal node right there that we can use. Unfortunately, it is not pure like pretty much every other node we have in the game. So we are losing a little bit of efficiency there, but we can take care of that. However, that is going to bring us to the section where I say, if you made it this far and you're not a member of the community, hit the subscribe button now because I'd love to have you guys here. It'd be amazing to have you join the journey as we continue to figure out how to best make things work in Satisfactory. If you are a member of this community and you have not hit the bell notification icon, please do so now. One of two things you can do with that. You can check mark it and customize it to your heart's content, or you can just say, I want all the notifications available to me, and that'll let you know anytime we do anything on this channel. Now, we do upload content every Monday through Friday, and we do live stream every Wednesday, 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. Central Standard Time. Now, remember liking, commenting, subscribing, great tools for you to get in touch with me. Let me know what you liked, didn't like, and what you want to see next. Without further ado, I'm going to shut my filthy little cake hole. Remember, I love you guys, and we will see you next time. Ta-da!